Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's talk about Dolby Atmos. For those who don't know what it is, I'm not even sure I know what it is. It's kind of hard to explain. I made a video way back in my channel, if I can find it. I don't even remember what it was called, and I think I said something like, I think the technology with music has sort of reached an endpoint. Like, we already have high res lossless files. You're not going to get any more, more higher quality files. In other words, the sound quality has reached this point where that's about it. And I said that probably like a last thing would be lossless Bluetooth was something that I said, and I know that that's something that is starting to happen. But I didn't see Dolby Atmos coming. And for those who don't know, this is how I interpret Dolby Atmos. I have it on, I have Apple Music, and Apple Music offers Dolby Atmos. And for the longest time, I never paid any attention to it. In fact, in the settings for my Apple Music, I didn't even have it on. Because my impression of it, what it was it was something that was designed for like surround sound. It was surround sound. And it was something that when I read about it, they talked about movie theaters, how typically in the past when you had surround sound, you had speakers along the wall. So you'd have this effect of a car going, like this, and it goes around the movie theater. But Dolby Atmos is able to create above and around. So it's able to create this illusion of something going above you, to the right of you, coming in and out, and moving around like that. So I thought, I don't have a surround sound system. What is Dolby Atmos going to do? Well, to my surprise, I didn't realize this, is that you don't need surround sound to listen to Dolby Atmos. You can hear this with just headphones. Now, you have to have a system that can play it. So I have, through my phone, I have a DAC that I use. It's called a Dragonfly. And that gives me better sound quality. It allows me to hear higher res files. And I have some really nice AKG headphones. And when I turn the Atmos thing on, and the album has to be mixed for Dolby Atmos, I was absolutely shocked. It was like, okay, I had stereo from my regular headphones, but with the Atmos, it was adding a like surround sound effect, like almost like a third speaker, like something floating in front of me. It was giving this effect of like, instead of the sound here, it was like floating around me. And I've read about it, and I still don't understand how they're able to create this effect with two headphones. I understand how you can create the effect if you're in a movie theater and there's speakers above you and all around you. Okay, that makes sense, but I have no idea how they're able to create this effect with just regular headphones. Now, again, you have to have decent headphones. Like if I listen with these, my Koss headphones, it doesn't work. The effect doesn't work. If I listen with my wireless headphones, it doesn't work. It only works for me right now with my AKG headphones and my Dragonfly DAC thing. But I was absolutely shocked at the effect. And in some ways, my mind was blown because there were some of the albums that I was listening to, I was hearing things that I had never heard before. It completely opens up the sound space. It makes everything seem like going from here to like around you, and everything just opens up. And it works really, really well with metal, because metal tends to be very dense, especially extreme metal. Like I've listened to a couple albums that I think the new Behemoth album, Gojira has an album that's in Dolby Atmos. The new Metallica, at least one of the songs is in Dolby Atmos. And so when you have stuff that's really dense, it just opens everything up, and you can really hear the bass guitar, the bass drum, and it's all this sonic space that when it's not there, it just, everything gets sort of matched together. And revisiting older records that have this, and this is the example that I used. If you have a streaming service that allows you to do Dolby Atmos, I don't even know if you can do Dolby Atmos with like a CD. Maybe you need a certain type of CD. I don't know. If you want to know if you're hearing this effect, listen to the first, is it Tyranny and Mutation? I think it's Tyranny and Mutation by Blue Oyster Cult that's in Dolby Atmos. And that album was originally apparently mixed for quad. There's a quad version of that record. I think it's that one. It's either that or the first album. And with Dolby Atmos, they're able to get this quad mix. And there's actual vocals and guitar parts and instrument parts that you cannot hear in the regular stereo mix. And when I mean not here, I don't mean like, they're just kind of in the background, you can't hear them. They're completely not there. And when you flip Dolby Atmos on and off, when the first time I heard it, I was like, what is that? I never heard those vocals before. I never heard that guitar line before. And then I turned the Atmos off and it was like they completely disappeared. Now, some albums it doesn't work so well, like Dio Holy Diver is in Dolby Atmos, and you must have done something wrong. There's like times where guitar solos cut in and out and stuff. But the Doors catalog is in Dolby Atmos. It's almost like hearing the albums completely new. You hear things you've never heard before. Now, for some people, they don't like that because it's like it sounds like a completely different mix, a completely different album. But for me, it's absolutely at times mind-blowing. Like hearing this, I'm hearing things from albums that I've heard a million times, and I'm hearing things that I just never heard before. And I don't know if some of these things were never in the mix before. There's some Beatles albums that are in Dolby Atmos, but I really enjoy it with like the new releases because they're specifically recording for Dolby Atmos and with Dolby Atmos in mind. And man, it just makes some of these extreme metal albums, or metal albums in general, it makes them sound so much bigger, so much punchier. And apparently you hear me rant and rave about the loudness wars and crushing the dynamic range of recordings. Apparently with Dolby Atmos, you can't do that. So these metal albums that sound really crushed in stereo and Dolby Atmos, they just completely open up and they're so punchy, they're so huge, they're so big. It's Megadeth has done a couple there. I think they just did Countdown to Extinction in Dolby Atmos. I haven't listened to that yet. So it's a limited number of things that are in Dolby Atmos. I'm not even sure what other streaming services. I think Amazon offers Dolby Atmos. I'm not sure who else does. But it's really a game changer. I'm completely blown away and floored. And now, I'm excited like the new Metallica I'm hoping is going to all be in Dolby Atmos because it's such a different experience. So, okay. Anybody out there, do you guys have any experience with Dolby Atmos? Can you explain this technology to me? I was saying one other thing, and I don't know if this has something to do with it. I remember this was years ago when I lived in my old house. I was listening to, I think it was Dark Side of the Moon or Wish You Were Here, and on vinyl, and it was almost like there was a third speaker in the middle of the room. Like there was a sound floating in the middle of the room. Like I could walk up and almost touch it. And I was like taken aback by it. I was like, whoa, what is that? It was like all of a sudden I was able to hear this. And I asked a friend of mine who was a studio engineer guy, and he explained it to me. I don't remember what he told me, but he was just saying something about how the album was like, an album that's really, really well mixed can give this sort of three-dimensional effect. You have to be right in the right spot, got to have good speakers and all that stuff. And in my room that I'm in right now, I have my computer on a table, and I'm usually sitting on the other side of the table because my record player is to my left right now. The speakers are on that side. I actually have tape on the floor marking where to sit because I can sit in a certain spot in my room, and with certain albums, it sounds like there's something floating above my record player, which is in the middle of the room. And in fact, when I heard it for the first time here in this room, I thought I was hearing sound coming from the record. Sometimes you can actually hear a little sound coming from the album. And then I realized it was this effect that I had heard years ago with the Pink Floyd album, where certain albums, it just sounds like a third channel opens up right in the middle for me. And there's like sound floating, like maybe the drums or something. They just sound like they're right in the middle, and the guitars are, and again, it's not a stereo effect. It's like a 3D effect. It's hard for me to describe, and I'm wondering if that is how they're able to pull off this Dolby Atmos with just two speakers. I don't know. Let me know. Do you guys have experience with Dolby Atmos? Can you explain how it works. Has anybody else experienced this, what I'm talking about with their stereo system, where if you're sitting in just the right spot, like in my room, if I sit up, stand up, the effect goes away. I have to be sitting down, I have to be in an exact spot to get this sort of 3D effect. Has anybody else ever experienced that with their stereo system? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Till we see you again, make sure you rock hard, ride free.